Okay. Hello. Welcome back to another Classic Comics live stream. Happy Father's Day to everyone. Hope it's been good to you. So tonight, probably going to go about an hour because I only I don't have a whole lot of time. I've got other things I need to do. Of course, it's been a couple of weeks. I didn't live stream last week, but good to be back. And excuse me, I do want to thank everyone who tunes in to listen to the stream, both during the stream itself and on the rewatch. And if you do stop by to listen, I hope you will sub to the channel as well. Check out some of my videos. So, what have we got going tonight? Okay, so first thing we're going to look at is The Flash. And I do have my review of The Flash up on my channel. It's an interesting film. It's the easiest way to say it is it's not as bad as I thought it would be, but it's kind of a mess. But apparently it is not doing well, and we're going to take a look at that. And it's not the only movie that's not doing well. I think that Pixar movie that came out this weekend, that thing's flopping too. And then we're going to look at some of the major delays we're seeing with a lot of Hollywood projects with films and series, particularly with Disney. We'll talk a little about the Namor actor, Tenoch Huerta, his issues. He's had some accusations of sexual assault allegedly directed at him. Let's see, the Spider Verse has been banned over in the UAE. Hims, Chris Hemsworth, he's spoken about possibly returning to Thor. James Mangold, he's got an idea for a Star Wars movie. Um, we'll talk a little about that. The Penguin series over at Warner Brothers and Daredevil, those have both been shut down, like a lot of other stuff. And we'll talk a bit more about the Flash, about the what is his name, Machete, who's the director of the Flash. He's been tapped to direct the next Batman movie. And James Gunn's made some comments on comics and writing, and there's a couple of other things. I'll also talk a little about Eric July. He's releasing ISOM number 2. I don't know if it's released yet, but he's taking orders for it, and it's doing really, really well. So first, let's go ahead and talk about the Flash. Let me bring that up right quick. And this is in, I believe this is Variety. Bring that up. All right, yeah, Variety. So Flash disappoints with $55 million debut. Pixar's Elemental flops with 29.5 million in battle of box office lightweights. Yeah, they just Hollywood's hurting right now. Not that I'm complaining. I'm totally cool with it. But let's get into this. Okay, The Flash, a superhero adventure starring Ezra Miller, emerged victorious over Pixar's Elemental in a bottle of box office lightweights. This weekend saw two new releases. Or this weekend's two new releases were once expected to ignite the summer blockbuster season. Instead, both entirely missed the mark. The Flash stumbled with 55 million, and Elemental collected just 29.5 million in their respective debuts. Brutal. Both films fell short of already low expectations. Worse, they were pricey endeavors costing 200 million to make and roughly 100 million to market. So they're shaping up to be huge disappointments in their theatrical runs. All right, give me just a moment. I need to cough here right quick. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so the lead up to the Flash, in the lead up to the Flash, executives at Warner Brothers worked hard to convince the public that the film is, quote, one of the greatest superhero movies ever made, per newly minted DC Studios co chief James Gunn. I mean, can we believe anything that guy ever says again at this point? I mean, I understand why he said it. He kind of had to with the position he's in, but please, the greatest superheroes movies ever made. Directed by Andy, I've heard it pronounced Machete, so I'm just going to say that. Andy Machete. The story picks up as Miller's Barry Allen, aka the Flash, travels back in time to prevent his mother's murder, and inadvertently cracks open the DC multiverse. Cameos abound. But a tepid B cinema score from opening weekend crowds suggests that the movie-going masses didn't entirely agree with the lavish praise bestowed on the film by the people who made it. Without positive audience scores or strong word of mouth, The Flash will struggle to rebound in the coming weeks, especially as summer season heats up with the release of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny on June 30th, another flop in the making. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning on July 12th, and Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer on July 21st. This is a week 3-day opening for a superhero film, says David A. Gross, who runs the movie consulting firm Franchise Entertainment Research. There have been similar openings that grew into big numbers, he adds, referring to 2015's Ant-Man, which opened to 55 million and ended with 519 million worldwide, as well as 2018's Aquaman, which debuted at 67 million and finished at 1.5 billion globally. But we do not see that here. No, we do not. We do not. Flash also stumbled at the international box office with 75 million from 78 markets, bringing its global tally to 139 million. Unless its box office fortunes rebound, The Flash looks to fall more closely in line with Dwayne Johnson's $200 million budgeted Black Adam, which opened last year to 67 million and failed to reach 400 million globally, ultimately losing money in its theatrical run. Analysts believe that several factors, one of them being those unenthusiastic audience reactions, are to blame for the film's weak initial turnout. Another roadblock is that The Flash landed on the big screen without a traditional promotional push. That's because Miller has become, and they're talking about Ezra Miller, of course, the star of the film. That's because Ezra Miller has become a controversial figure in recent years due to legal troubles and assault allegations. The actor, who has apologized for past erratic behavior and went to treatment for complex mental health issues, made a rare public appearance at Monday's premiere of The Flash, but didn't engage with press or other publicity efforts that would be standard for a tentpole of this scope. Yeah, it's kind of hard to have your lead actor do the press circuit when he's in rehab. Also, The Flash is the second of four DC films to open in 2023 before the studio's new overlords, Gunn and Peter Safran, take the comic book universe in an entirely new direction. That's left The Flash and Shazam Fear of the Gods, one of the biggest superhero misfires in recent memory, hanging in the balance. It's apparently hard to get comic book fans to care about an interconnected universe that'll soon be abandoned and rebooted in favor of different spandex clad heroes. Let's see, Blue Beetle will be coming on August 18th. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is set for December 20th. And they've apparently said that Blue Beetle is going to be part of the new universe. It's not going to be part of the DCEU, which I understand. I mean, I don't think that was the original plan, but I understand why they're doing it. Elemental, an animated adventure about opposites who attract, added a muted 15 million at the international box office for a global total of 44.5 million. Brutal. Unlike The Flash, Elemental has been embraced by its audience. No, it has, who awarded the film an A cinema score. So there's a chance that ticket sales could recover slightly in the next few weeks, especially since there isn't much competition from family films on the horizon. But there's no sugarcoating the debut of Elemental, which landed by far the worst start in modern history for Pixar, ranking below some of its more forgettable attempts like 2015's The Good Dinosaur and 2020's Onward. Oh yeah, remember that one? I'd forgotten all about that. The animation empire behind Toy Story, Up and Ratatouille hasn't been able to rebound from the pandemic when several of its titles were sent directly to Disney Plus and family audiences were trained to expect those movies at home. It's been a difficult market for films with original stories like Elemental, which revolves around the relationship between two seemingly different elements of fire and water. Brand recognition has been a big part of the success of recent family films, such as the Super Mario Brothers movie and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Elemental is not based on established IP, notes Gross. Of the recent animation titles, this is clearly the most challenging to open. After this weekend, Lionsgate's horror satire, The Blackening. Okay, I'm not going to say anything. Opened in sixth place after earning 6 million in its debut. Uh, Directed by Tim Story, the film pokes fun at the common horror trope that black characters are often the first to die. It follows a group of black friends who gather at a remote cabin to celebrate Juneteenth. The film costs just 5 million. That actually sounds like it could be fun. Elsewhere in the box office, Sony's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse landed in third place, earning a mighty 27.8 million in its third weekend of release. The superhero sequel is already a big box office winner with 280 million in North America and 489.3 million worldwide. A third entry is scheduled for 2024. In fourth place, Paramount's Transformers: Rise of the Beast added 20 million as ticket sales collapsed by 67% in its sophomore outing. Still, the tentpole managed to cross 100 million at the domestic box office with 103 to date. With its 200 million budget, the studio needs the seventh Transformers installment to resonate at the international box office to justify that hefty price tag. Over the weekend, Rise of the Beast generated 37.2 million, bringing its international tally to 174.3 million. Disney's The Little Mermaid rounded out the top five with 11.6 million in its fourth weekend in theaters. Speaking of flops, the live action remake has amassed 253 million in North America and 466 million to date, which would have been a good result had the movie not cost 250 million to produce. At this rate, The Little Mermaid is struggling to break even in its theatrical run. And limited release, Wes Anderson's Asteroid City. I won't get into all that, but you get the gist of it. A lot of flops this year. It's been a rough year on Hollywood. I mean, Ant-Man, and particularly on Disney, because Ant-Man disappointed, Little Mermaid has disappointed, Pixar Elementals has disappointed, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny probably going to disappoint too, and then of course The Flash. But speaking of Disney, let's go ahead and move on to them. Come on, and this is from the Hollywood Reporter. All right. Avatar 3 pushed a year to 2025. Two Star Wars movies head for 2026, and Avengers films delayed. Disney made a slew of high profile changes and additions to its theatrical release calendar, including a date for Moana, moving up Deadpool 3, and pushing the fourth and fifth Avatar films 3 years each. Yeah, I think, isn't that new Avatar or the last Avatar film? Aren't they are talking about that? That'll come out like in 2022 or something like that. Okay. Let me bring that up. Disney's film empire has reimagined its theatrical release calendar in a major way. Studio announced a slew of changes on Tuesday, led by the news that it is setting two Star Wars movies for 2026. Hold on, let me see if I can get rid of some of this clutter. Get rid of that. Can I get rid of that? I want to get rid of that. All right, whatever. The studio announced a slew of changes on Tuesday, led by the news that it is setting two Star Wars movies to 2026 and pushing back Avatar 3 a year from December 2024 to December 2025. Additionally, Avatar will now hit theaters in December 2029, followed by Avatar 5 in December 2031, meaning 4 and 5 will now open 3 years later than previously announced. Other highlights are Ryan Reynolds fans will be happy to learn that his Deadpool 3 will now open on May 2024 instead of November 8th, 2024. Also on the Marvel Studios front, Avengers: The Kang Dynasty has been pushed a year to May 1st, 2026. This feature has embattled Jonathan Majors attached in the lead role. The actor is facing assault charges in New York court. The follow up, Avengers: Secret Wars, has also been pushed a year to May 7th, 2027. Disney's already announced live action Moana has received a theatrical release date of June 27, 2025. 20th Century has added another installment in the Alien franchise, dated for August 16, 2024. Filmmaker Fede Alvarez, I'm probably not saying that right, is behind the feature, which stars Kaylee Spaney. The studio has added the Rami Malek thriller The Amateur, to November 8, 2024. Please just stop with the Alien movies. Please just stop. No more Aliens, no more Terminator. Lucasfilm has not had a Star Wars feature in theaters since 2019 Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. At April's Star Wars celebration, it teased its theatrical future, including a feature to star Daisy Ridley, another from The Mandalorian's Dave Filoni, and an epic from James Mangold. On Tuesday, Lucasfilm moved a previously dated Star Wars movie from December 2025 to May 22nd, 2026. The Ridley feature is furthest along in development and is likely to open on that date. And curiously, Lucasfilm revealed in Tuesday's announcement that it has added a new Star Wars feature for just 5 months later, December 18th, 2026. Another Star Wars movie is staying on its current date of December 17th, 2027. This wasn't mentioned in the announcement. Marvel Studios made a few other tweaks to its schedule. Captain America: Brave New World has moved back around 3 months to July 26, 2024. And of course, they changed the title because it was Captain America: New World Order. But I guess people were making too many comments about Disney kind of being part of the New World Order, and in the sense that it's being kind of this. I'm not going to get into it, but anyway, they decided that was a negative title, so they changed it to Brave New World because naming it after, a novel about an oppressive dystopian government, that's much better, apparently. Thunderbolts has pushed 5 months to December 20th, 2024. Blade Lake likewise moved 5 months to February 14th, 2025, while Fantastic Four moved back 3 months to May 2nd, 2025. Multiple Marvel movies, including Blade and Thunderbolts, opted to delay going into production amid the writer's strike. If you're not opening the Fantastic Four on the 4th of a month, you're missing something. You're missing a trick. Anyway, they got all of it here. Um, I mean, how many of these are we even looking forward to? Oh, hey, J-Man. Hey, man, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by. Um, man, I saw your stream for The Flash the other night, and I would have come, but I had some homework I had to get done. And I also was trying to get my review of Flash done and get that out too. So I didn't have time to get to it, man. I'm sorry. I would like to have come in. Okay. So anyway, yeah. So Hollywood's a mess, and I'm totally here for it. I'm loving it. Okay. What else we got here? Okay, that's more on the Disney delays. Everyone hates Flash but you. I don't hate it, but I mean, the movie's got a lot of problems. It's as I've said, it's not as bad as I thought it would be, but yeah, it's a bit of a mess in my opinion. I'm glad you liked it though. I know I have seen some people who seem to have positive reviews, so I don't think you're the only one, but I don't know. I think between Ezra's antics, are you seeing Indy 5? Yeah, I'll see it. I'll see that thing. Um, Yeah, I was saying earlier how, I mean, this I don't know when the last time this many big budget tentpole movies all flopped, particularly so close together because you have Little Mermaid kind of flopped, Flash is flopping, Elementals is flopping. I'm pretty sure that Indiana Jones is going to flop too. I think it'll have a big weekend opening, and then after that, it's going to tank pretty quick. Because apparently, all the bad things we've heard about this movie, apparently they're pretty much true. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. And I almost did a video for this on my channel, but I didn't because I wanted more information to come out because it was just one person making this accusation. But the media is reporting on it here. This is Hollywood Reporter, so I guess I'll talk about it a little. So Wakanda Forever star Tenoch Huerta denies sexual assault allegations. Black Panther Wakanda Ever star Tenoch Huerta is denying an accusation of sexual assault. On Saturday, musician, hey, J-Man, would you like to come in? If you want, I can send you a link and then we can maybe talk about The Flash a little. Let me know if you'd like to. I can do that. On Saturday, musician and activist Maria Elena Rios accused the actor of being a sexual predator. You will? Okay. Let me bring up Twitter here and I'll send it to you. Give me just a sec. Because there are some things I'd like to say about it. I didn't get to in my review. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Where is it? Invite. Copy. Okay. 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 Put it in your DMs. So see if that works for you. All right. So where was I? Yeah, in a post on just let me start over. On Saturday, musician and activist Marina Elena Rios accused the actor of being a sexual predator in a post on social media and followed it up by stating that the actor had sexually assaulted her. It's very difficult to talk about the emotional abuse and the abuse of power of a sexual predator who is loved around the world for playing a character in a movie such as Tenoch Huerta, she wrote. On Monday, Huerta released a lengthy statement denying the claims, calling them, quote, false and completely unsubstantiated, unquote. He said that roughly a year ago, he and Rios had a consensual relationship that lasted several months. Quote, throughout it was a loving, warm, and mutually supportive relationship. After it ended, however, Elena began to misrepresent our interactions both privately and in front of groups of mutual friends. Huerta said in a statement, quote, as a result, a few months ago, I engaged in a legal team to commence the appropriate actions to protect my reputation and refute these irresponsible and false accusations that can cause great prejudice and damage, unquote. Huerta had a lengthy career in Mexico before becoming known to global audiences with last year's Black Panther Wakanda Forever as Namor. And okay, I lost my okay, the classic Marvel character. He was also among the cast of Netflix's Narcos Mexico and the feature The Forever Purge. Though no formal plans have been announced for future Marvel appearances, Wakanda Forever strongly suggested there was more to come from the character. Although I am by no means perfect, I know that these allegations are simply untrue. And while I always work to improve myself, I need to contest claims that are both false and offensive. The actor's statement continued. I'm deeply grateful to my family and the people who have supported me and greatly appreciate everyone who's willing to look at the facts and reflect before rushing to a true and unjust conclusion. So, he said, she said, let's see. So is J-Man, let me check, see if J-Man's come through. Yeah, okay, not yet. Is he? Yeah, so yeah, he's not here yet. Yeah, I don't know what to think. It's you don't want to deny or just disregard a claim when someone says they've been harmed. But on the other hand, there have been so many. Uh, I'll just, I don't know. I'll just leave it alone. We'll just say that it'll be interesting to see where it goes. All right. What do we got next here? Oh, here's J-Man. So let me bring him in.
Hey, what's up?
Hey there. How you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
Doing all right. Yeah. So you overall, I did watch your review of The Flash, and so you overall did enjoy it, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, again, if it was like 20 years ago, it's maybe something different, but it's like right now we're in a situation where every movie, the filmmakers have to make fun of the thing, the product, the character, or something, or the fans of it. This movie didn't do any of that. That doesn't automatically make it a good movie. I still like the movie anyways, but having George Reeves appear, having Christopher Reeve with Helen Slater together, like they went through the thought process of, okay, we can have X number of cameos before it gets stupid. Like I heard they took out Linda Carter, they took out a few others. So let's say they said, okay, you can have 5, and they're like, well, let's pick these 5, but they don't get any bonus points for picking George Reeves because nobody knows who George Reeves is. So they put that in there because the guy actually cares about some like DC history and film. Like they didn't put Batwoman in, right? They didn't put Blue Beetle in because that's what's coming out. Like you know what I'm saying? Like the guy
Uh-huh.
like and he gave it. We always wanted to see Helen Slater and Christopher Reeve together because he was supposed to be in Supergirl, it didn't happen, right? And we're like, oh, it would have been so cool just to see them together, and we got to see them together. I'm not saying all that means it's good, but what I'm saying is that the person cared. Like we see Indiana Jones 5 is coming really soon, and that Phoebe Waller-Bridge or whatever, her character literally makes fun of Indiana Jones at every second she can. And
Right.
it's not something that character would do. Like, I don't know if she's his goddaughter or whatever she is, but if she hates him, she would just be like, I don't like you. Like, she wouldn't point out flaws in other films that he did. Like, she's like, oh, you stole from the natives. It's like, but why would she know that, and why would she say it that way? Like if I'm upset with a relative of mine, I don't point out flaws from things that I wasn't there for. I would just be like, you never bought me a present on my birthday, or you promised to give me money and you didn't, or you sued me, or like I would, you know what I mean? It's because the filmmaker himself is saying, oh, that movie was problematic. And it's like, you know what? Screw off, right? It's like, I'm tired of all that. This movie, I watched the movie, I thought, wow, nothing pissed me off. Like there wasn't any of this normal trash where they have to make fun of the DC lore or anything like that. Like they brought Clooney back, for Christ's sakes. That's what a great sport to come back for that little cameo. It's pretty funny at the end. It had heart. I cared about his mom. I cared about him saving his mom. I thought it was really neat that he kind of helped like free his dad with the tomato can thing. And Michael Keaton was awesome, and I like Supergirl, and I thought Ezra Miller did a good performance. And I went into this movie thinking it was going to be shit. So everyone's like, I walked in thinking it was going to be crap, and I really liked it. And I would have given it a 7 out of 10, but with those extra bits at the end, I know it's fan service, but it's good fan service. I want to see George Reeves on the big screen. We've never seen that. I know it was CGI and the CGI was bad, and I did nick it for that. But the heart was there. The filmmaker his heart was there. He kind of cared about what he was doing. I can only review the finished product. I can't review Ezra Miller's morality. I can't review, you know what I mean? Like I got to review the movie. Like Ezra Miller,
Uh-huh.
like Ezra Miller's insane. Oh, I mean, it's a little known fact. I'm not sure if you know this. It's a little known fact that Ezra Miller is the only crazy celebrity in Hollywood. All other celebrities in Hollywood have halos on the top of their heads. In fact, every time they're in any other movie, they have to digitally remove the actor's halo. It's like everyone in Hollywood is insane. They're all assholes. They're all crazy, batshit assholes. Maybe 5, like Jimmy Stewart was the only person I can think of that never had anything negative said against him. So fine, right? Like, like Spencer Tracy, Cagney, they're like some of my favorite actors of all time. Spencer Tracy cheated on his wife. Like, what am I
Yeah.
supposed to do, right? Like, he's one of the best actors we've ever had, ever. Am I supposed to not watch Spencer Tracy movies? I own 20 of them. I was like, there goes some, Cagney. I've got 20 Cagney movies. I'm sure he wasn't a saint every time. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Ezra Miller's a goof. Okay. And I think Johnny Depp is a goof. And I think Amber Heard is a goof. Is Amber Heard a bigger goof than Johnny Depp? Okay. I guess she is. Who cares? They're all goofs.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you. I think that the movie did a very good job with the family aspect of it. The scenes with him and his mother, I thought actually worked pretty well.
yeah.
But I think part of that is because in most of those scenes, Ezra is kind of like he's sort of like calm and he's
Right.
not doing that sort of quirky, borderline autistic shtick that he does where he's trying to be awkward and funny
Yep.
and it's just annoying, you know?
Yeah, I didn't like it I don't like them in, I hate all three Zack Snyder, like Man of Steel, BVS, and Justice League 4 hour, whatever, trash movie. I hate all those movies. I don't like Ezra Miller in those movies at all. And now we're stuck with them. Like, the problem is we're stuck with Ezra Miller. So, like, we got stuck with Gal Gadot and she's awesome. Okay, so we got one good one out of that, but we're stuck with Ezra Miller. So, again, I can't review the movie where he's not in it and they pick a different actor to play Barry and have it be more true to Barry. I don't have that movie to rate. I can only rate the movie that's in front of me, right? Like,
Right. I did think, but when the thing is, well, first of all, I'd say, you talked about how the director, really seemed to have some care with the movie. And I would agree. I don't think the problem with the movie is his direction. I think overall he did a pretty solid job. And I imagine that's part of why he's getting Brave and the Bold now, because I believe
right,
they're going to let him do that. But, this movie, it just had such a tortured path and development. And it obviously just went through a slew of rewrites.
right.
And as a result, I mean, the script was such a mess. I just don't think there was much of a way you were going to make it work,
No,
because, and like I noted in my review, I felt like a lot of things happen just because they're supposed to happen. Batman, they go to see Bruce and tell him that, oh yeah, there's these aliens invading and they're going to wipe out like humanity. We need you to find Superman, this other alien that can stop them. Will you help us? And he's just like, nope, not interested. It's like,
right. That's not that Batman. Like, that is not the 89 Batman. I would assume that he would want to help, right?
it's not any Batman.
Right. Well, yeah, it's not. Well, no, but it's a different. It's an alternate universe, so it could be a Batman somewhere that's like that. But they chose the '89 Batman, which would not do that, right? So it's like they needed that. So it is what you're saying. They needed it for the story. They needed Flash to inspire him to, to be a hero again. Now, okay, that's fine, but unfortunately, you picked the wrong character because Batman in this iteration, in this universe, if it's the '89 universe, Batman would not need that inspiration. Now, Supergirl being inspired was okay because we hadn't seen her and she's a different Supergirl than the one we're used to. So that's fine. But yeah, you're right. Like, this movie is not perfect. Like, I gave it 8 out of 10. The big dings were really the story elements, which you just pointed out. And the CGI was not great. I understand what the director is saying. He's like, I'm going for this thing where the Speed Force distorts everything. I said, okay, I understand. No, that is what it is. It could, because the effects are fine when he's not using the Speed Force. Like, all the action scenes look good, right? Like, the CGI looks good in every scene until he uses the Speed Force and everything's all slowed down. I'm like, I know, I understand what you're saying, but if you're going to make it distorted, you have to make it really, really, really distorted, because it looks like to me that it was just bad CGI and not distorted on purpose. And I guess he was trying to be subtle, but it doesn't work. When he saw that, like, when he started to see some of the finished product, like, those babies look like toy dolls. I was like, I'm sorry, those babies were awful.
Yeah, they look Play-Doh.
Right, it's bad.
It was
yeah,
awful.
It's bad. It doesn't affect me. Like, so classic. Okay, so Harryhausen. I'm sure you love Harryhausen. Harryhausen's one of my heroes. I have all his books, all that stuff. And people think, they're like, oh, I don't like stop motion, looks stupid, right? Like, they think, oh, it looks choppy and stupid. I'm like, well, that's the best that they could do. and Harryhausen worked by himself, except for Clash of Titans where he had one assistant, but otherwise he was literally by himself. So it's like, okay, but I like the way it looks. I think it looks really cool, and some people don't, so that's fine. But on the other hand, you can't make an excuse then for this movie saying, well, but it doesn't bother me. So my point is the effects actually don't bother me. If they're really crappy CGI, it doesn't really bother me. I just get over it. But it took me out of the movie in the first time. I was like, whoa, this is kind of weird. I thought maybe it's the Speed Force. And I thought, I guess it's just the Speed Force. And I literally rationalized it myself. But it doesn't mean it's good. It's 2023. You should have seen those, the first CGI thing. As soon as you saw that baby, the director should have stepped in and said, whoa, this just looks too weird. We better make it photoreal because people are going to think this is off. So
Yeah,
I can't give an excuse.
and when he puts the baby in the microwave, I was just like, what are you
Well,
doing? I mean, I understand in the context.
I know
I
it's just,
understand why he does it because the baby's falling into this flame and he wants to protect it from the flames. But I'm just like, yeah, putting a baby in a microwave just doesn't seem like what's like the optics aren't good.
I didn't even
The
pick up on that. I just thought, oh, okay, I guess he's putting it in there.
and then at the end when he catches it and he saved them all, the microwave goes off, like it goes ding, and I
Yeah.
was just like, oh god. And
So we actually had a discussion on that on Nerdman's channel, and so my microwave continues to ding until you open the door. So even if the food is done, so like someone was like, was he microwaving it and forgot or something? I was like, no. I was like, once you close the door, and then if you don't open it, like it will keep dinging. Like if the food was done and you didn't open the door, it keeps dinging. So it's like it's reminding you, like every like minute it'll be like bing, bing. I'm like, oh yeah, shit, I gotta get that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, mine will go off like every 5 minutes. It'll go like beep beep. But the thing
right,
is that the thing is unplugged, so why is it dinging anyway? Really?
right. I know it's silly cartoon. Look,
And
it's
honestly, that whole opening sequence where he's saving all the people, all the babies and everything,
yeah,
it felt honestly, it just felt kind of like a waste of time because we've seen this before. It's like the kind of thing we saw in the X-Men films with
right.
Quicksilver, where there's this disaster and it's kind of going in slow motion and he's saving everybody. The problem is it was done better there, in my
Mhm.
opinion. It was done better there and done before. So, and it should have been the Flash. The Flash should have been the one that did that first, but it wasn't. And
Right.
so I don't know. I just thought it was not as good as what they did say in
Days of
which
Future,
one
or no, Days of Future Past.
is it? Days of Future Past, where the mansion's exploding.
Yeah, I think so. I don't
Yeah,
like any of the X-Men movies, to be honest, but yeah,
I think it's that one. And
it's that one. Yeah.
so I was just kind of like, I could have done without that
Well,
whole sequence,
see,
honestly.
I mean, you have to do it because it's the Flash. That's his thing. So you have to have. It's like you can't. If someone flies, they fly, right? Whether Superman did it better, and it doesn't matter. That's his powers. But the way they one
Yeah,
upped it was they had 7 babies in 7 different types of peril, which was funny because when Flash is running up, they're like, okay, he looks at you like, oh, I'll just save the baby, and then it's like, oh wait, there's another baby, and you're like, oh wait, there's another one and another one, and each baby has something extremely unique that's going to kill it. And I'm like, I thought it was hilarious because I'm like, well, which baby do you save first? Because well, that one's got knives, this one's got flame, and he did a thing to make them all kind of work out. I thought it was super fun and actually pretty clever because it's a way to make that scene funnier. Like the Quicksilver one of him saving everybody is cool, but like this was more like, I love the idea that there's like, 7 babies or whatever the number was in peril by completely different random things that are all going to hit at the same time. And you have to kind of figure out how to do it. It's a Flash problem because if it was just one baby, he's like, shoo, shoo, and it's done. Like how do you put obstacles for a speedster? You have to have several things all at the same time to really test his.
right. Yeah.
And then, of course, he has no food, so he's low on energy, which is kind of fun or whatever. The problem with that entire sequence was that it wasn't Captain Cold. Like somewhere along the line, they had forgotten. This is the major ding of this movie. They actually forgot that this is a Flash movie. So he's like, "Oh, I need you in Gotham City because one of Falcone's guys, his nephew or something, is doing it." Why doesn't the Flash call Batman, or why can't Batman be visiting Central City and have it be one of the rogues? Like, you're doing a Flash movie. I don't need to see a Batman villain in a Flash movie. I need to see a Flash villain. And the biggest disappointments for the story was, I know they were saving Reverse Flash and they didn't know there wasn't going to be another one. Okay, fine. But you could have had Captain Cold, Weather Wizard, or I don't like any of the Flash villains like Heatwave or something. Have Captain Cold be the guy that they're chasing. He could be shooting shooting the ice gun. You know,
Yeah.
like they
Okay.
use a
Yeah.
Batman villain. It's like, what are you doing? Like this is and how could you cut out John Wesley's ship? Like if you're showing all the universes, at least show the first live action Flash. Like look, showing George Reeves first is the right move. George Reeves, I know Kirk Allen came before and someone pointed that out. I think Phantom Outsider pointed out. It's like we all know Kirk Allen, but general people don't know, and he didn't have an impact. George Reeves was the first one who had a major impact in live action, like
Right.
for Super. So you have to you have to honor him. But where's John Wesley's ship? Like, really? You don't show the 90s Flash? That's a bit of a fail. It's a Flash movie, right? You would think they'd show him.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I wondered where he was. I wondered where Linda Carter was. You said
she
that
got cut out.
she got cut. You see, I think
Yeah.
they should have put her in, but
Right. She
they
might come back for they'll do a director. They're going to do one of these stupid fucking, whatever the guy's name is cut. Andrew Mission, whatever his name is cut. And like, all right. And it's going to be 2 hours longer or something. Right.
and it's just odd to me that they put in Jay Garrick and they got that guy from the Flash show to be Jay Garrick. And it's not Jen Wesley Shipp. I thought at first that it was him, but it's the
Spears.
actor. Yeah, Bart Sears. That's his name.
Yeah, it was. He was Zoom. He ended up being Zoom, actually. I think in that, if I remember.
Yeah, so it's like you put him in there, but then no Linda Carter or no John Wesley Shipp. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, that was weird. But they were supposed to be there. Cesar Romero was there as well. He got cut. Who else got cut? I don't know. Just search. Just do a Google. Oh, who got cut out of? They'll probably put them back. Like, I mean, at least they have put some thought into it, and they didn't put anybody new. Like, if this would have been a Marvel production, they would have put in all the guys who are upcoming and all the new people that know. Like, oh, let's look at She-Hulk, and oh, look, it's Ms. Marvel. It's like, right, but nobody cares about these characters. At least they showed Christopher Reeve, who everyone loves. They showed Helen Slater, who I love. They showed George Reeves, which you should have respect for, whether you love him or not. It doesn't matter. He's awesome. So they tried. At least we can have a conversation about a movie. Like, what was the last thing? What was like? Oh God, I don't know. Like, let's say Thor: Love and Thunder. So that movie comes out. We can't even have a conversation about it because it's utter trash. Like, we can't even talk. We can't say, well, I liked this part, but this didn't work, right? Like, it's not even a real movie. Like, half of these Marvel movies that have been coming out, they're not even real movies that we can actually discuss. Like, it's like, you might give The Flash, oh, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10, or I'm going to give it a 6. I actually gave it an 8 out of 10. Some people gave it, like Steve gave it a 7.5. I think Sean gave it a 7. So we're all like,
I gave it a 5.
A 5, so you give it a 5 out of 10, right? So it's like, but like Thor: Love and Thunder, how do we even rate that movie? It's just awful. Like, I can't even talk about it. It's like the effects look good, so I'll give it a 2 out of 10 for artistry. Like, the way I break down my film reviews is through my 5 categories. So I guess I would give it a perfect score for the look because it looked amazing. The effects were great. Like when he goes into the dark realm and fights Gore or whatever, that looked cool. And I'm like, okay, so this looks very beautiful, so I'll give it a 2. And the rest is trash. The characters are garbage. Like, it's like the story's like awful. I'm like, I don't like. I don't even know if I reviewed Love and Thunder. Like, what was I going to rate it? Like, I'll give it like a 2 or 3 out of 10. Like, what am I even discussing? I can't even discuss points on it. It's like, yeah, the characters, they all suck. I guess Jane was like okay because she was the only serious character that had any kind of like like character or pathos or anything. Like, I don't know. Like, see, at least this movie's a movie. Like, to me, this is a movie. We can talk about it. And maybe you'll watch it again and be like, well, yeah, I see where J-Man's coming from. Some of this stuff was kind of fun. Maybe I'll watch it again and be like, well, maybe I got caught up in the hype in the theater and it's not that good now. Maybe I got to take it down a point or two. But at least it's a movie to talk about and not just be like, oh, it was woke. It was agenda pushing and they got their agenda. Like.
Yeah, and there really wasn't any of that, which surprised me a little bit.
Right.
I thought that, I was kind of shocked when Zod beat Supergirl.
I was like, okay. Oh, I'm so happy you just said that. Okay. Look at this. Okay, so I know you weren't on the thing last night. So I asked Steve, because Steve and I didn't really talk about it before the stream. I said, Steve, this is what I thought was going to happen in classic. You can tell me if you thought this was going to happen. Supergirl comes out, and then she's like, and they're like, oh, we need Clark Kent or whatever. And she's like, well, you don't need Clark. I'm better than he is. And then she flies over and kicks the shit out of Zod and beats him. I literally thought that was going to happen, because if that happens, that means, because Henry, I don't like Man of Steel. I hate it. But in Man of Steel, Henry Cavill and Shannon, Zod and Superman had a super battle where Clark just barely won, and he had to resort to murder to do it.
Uh-huh.
And he just barely won. And then I thought, oh, here comes Supergirl now, who's going to kick the shit out of Zod, and she saves the day, because obviously Supergirl is better than Superman. I'm like, no, Supergirl gets her ass kicked. I'm like, oh. I'm like, well, that actually makes sense, because she's been buried underground for 10 years or whatever it was. And right. She's not as strong as Superman anyways, because he's a big, strong, muscular man, and she's a skinny teenage girl. So she, even if the proportion of strength is more than a human, amongst the Kryptonians, Superman should still be stronger than her. And I'm like, no, she got killed. I was like, oh, what? They're actually saying Superman is without Superman, that universe can't win, which is actually really positive in Superman's. There's like Clark Kent was literally the only person that could stop that.
Yeah. I was surprised that they kind of did it that way.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was almost like, I literally turned. I was like, wait, Supergirl got killed? What's going on here? She's a girl.
And then when she and Batman died, and then the younger Bear's like, we got to go back. And I thought, oh, okay, well, they're going to go back and save them, and then they're going to win. And then they try it again, and then that doesn't work. And then that threw me. That plot twist threw me. I did not see that coming. I was like, oh, okay.
Right. So someone thought it through. They thought it through in terms of the story they're telling. They didn't think it through by an agenda. The reason why, look, just because something is woke, it doesn't actually mean it's automatically bad, right? But it doesn't. It doesn't mean it's good.
It's funny you put it that way, because I haven't put it up yet, but I'm working on my review of Across the Spider-Verse.
Right. I haven't seen it.
And that's kind of one of the things I've kind of been going over as I review it. I'm like, this thing's woke, but it's actually quite good, Well, and I'm kind of like, how do I review it, or how do I approach it?
Yeah, you could say that the casting of Lando Calrissian is woke, because literally, I think people are saying, George, you don't have many, colored folks in your little Star Wars picture, and he's like, okay, well, I'll make Lando a black guy. So, but Lando's one of my favorite characters ever. So, obviously, so is that a woke thing, or is that just, well, we cast the guy that we thought would play a good Lando, right? So we don't really know that. So just because it's woke, it doesn't mean it's bad, but it doesn't mean it's good. You need to have good characters. It's all great that you have your representation, but this character better make sense in the story you're telling. And in this movie, they tried to at least tell the story, and they're like, you know what, maybe Supergirl should lose here because she's not as good as Superman. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, what if they go back in time? But we've seen them go back in time and fix things. I like that they tried 4 or 5 different ways, and Barry's like, I don't think we can actually win. I don't think this, we don't have Superman. He's the only one that can win. We can't win this. This universe is just, this is it. This universe dies with Zod or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty ballsy. That's pretty, see, they're trying. At least they're thinking. They're like, you know what? Let's try something a bit different. I don't know. I know Ezra Miller's a goof and everyone hates him. I really honestly think people were just like, look, I'm tired of this Ezra Miller guy. F this guy. And I think that tainted a lot of people's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think that's absolutely part of it.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it. And I think just the fact that, this current iteration of the DC universe is, it's almost done. It's
pretty much
probably done. There's probably not going to be a sequel here. We're not going to see him as the Flash again. It's kind of a dead end. It's going nowhere. I think that's affected it as well. Yeah. So I take it you were not offended by the cameos, right? Because a lot of people seem to be upset about that.
You mean that just with the at the end?
Yeah, when they bringing back dead actors with CGI.
Oh, no, I'm not offended at all. Look, it's a multiverse thing. It's just for fun. It's not Christopher Reeve having lines and doing dialogue and doing a performance. It's just a visual. It's just him being visually there. They did it in Doctor Who. Look, I'm a massive Doctor Who guy. In the 50th anniversary, they show They show clips from the old show, and I guess they
Yeah,
could have shown a
that's
clip as opposed to CGIing a new thing. But you had to put them together. You wanted to put Helen and Thing
that's
together.
right. I forgot about that. But because I'm a little puzzled by the reaction. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, I understand why some people may not like it.
Yep.
But the thing that kind of puzzles me is if the example I would point to is Rogue One. You know, in Rogue
Right.
One, they recreated Peter Cushing as Governor
Right.
Tarkin, and nobody seemed to mind. You know, there wasn't any people upset about that. I remember there being some people saying like, you know, what is this? You know, where's this going to go, and what's the morality of bringing back that actress? I remember some talk, but now these years later, they bring back these actors in a much smaller, you know, I mean, it's literally just a cameo. They're just on screen for a couple of seconds, and people are all upset about it. And I don't know. I'm just a little puzzled by that.
Well, I can explain it to you. They're all hypocrites. This is the age we live in. People are saying, oh, this pisses me off. Well, it didn't piss you off. And this, listen, The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings didn't cast any actual little people.
Well,
So
actually, it did cast some as stunt doubles. You know, there were
sure,
some of
okay,
them were
yes, sure.
doubles.
But like, right, so it's like they used either forced perspective or they did, like camera trickery, right, and they or CGI or made them smaller, made guys taller. It's like, okay, so why isn't everyone upset? Like, I don't understand. People are upset sometimes. They're not. I'm not upset at anything. And I'm very honest. I'm not upset at anything until I am. That's because I'm a human being. I'm not upset at it until I am. And I'm very honest with that. So I'm saying I will be a hypocrite. I will not like it in this movie. And in this movie, I will like it. Peter Cushing, I love Peter Cushing. He's one of my faves. I was not upset. I thought it was kind of neat that we had Peter Cushing in it. I don't know. I don't know. It didn't piss me off. It didn't piss me off here. So maybe it'll piss me off in the future. I don't know. I'll see. But
Yeah.
at least I'm admitting I'm a hypocrite. It's like I'm a human being. Sometimes I thought this Supergirl was going to be garbage. I'm like, this is not my Supergirl. I just want blonde haired Supergirl. This is shit. And then I was like, I really like this girl, Supergirl, and I bought the toy. I'm like, I really like her a lot. So I don't
She was
know.
okay. She wasn't bad. But she's really not in it that much. I was surprised at how small her role was.
Mm,
Um, but I was actually a little surprised at how big Keaton's role was. You know, I think a lot of people thought his was going to be just kind of a glorified cameo too, but
oh yeah, he's important.
his role is actually pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: did you notice the how often spaghetti is in the movie?
Yes, I love spaghetti. I was getting so hungry. Like when he was making that spaghetti, I was like, God damn, I feel like some spaghetti. Then I got my popcorn. My popcorn was so good. The last two movies, Transformers and this, the popcorn was so good. I actually filled out the survey afterwards that they give you they send you an email to fill out the survey. I actually filled out saying the popcorn. I don't know who you got because I go to the same theater every Friday or whatever, or every Thursday. And I'm like, man, the popcorn, I've been killing it last couple. But no, yeah, the spaghetti. Well, you know what? The spaghetti helped visualize the timey wimey. The Doctor Who fans say timey wimey, but
Right.
like it helped you visualize the timey wimey. I'm like, yeah, this looks pretty good. Like I thought it was pretty funny. I don't know why. Like I guess does the director like spaghetti? Is he?
Yeah, I wonder because you know when the mother dies, you know she sent the husband out to get tomato sauce to make
Yep.
spaghetti, and
Yep.
then when he comes back, you know, in 10 years ago, you know, right before the Man of Zod arrives,
Right.
and he visits his family, his mother feeds him spaghetti, and
Yeah.
then they go to see Bruce Wayne, and he's making spaghetti, you know, and
Yep.
I'm just like, what's going on?
It's all parallel. The universe is held together by spaghetti. I guess this just sounds like what's his name? It sounds like a Adams Arthur. What's the guy's name? Hitchhiker's Guide. Why am I blanking on his
Douglas
name?
Adams.
Douglas Adams. Jeez, it sounds like a Douglas Adams. The universe is connected through spaghetti.
Yeah, it does sound like something. It was actually it kind of reminded me of Quantum Leap.
Yeah, Quantum Leap,
Because
man.
you know, in there they had on Quantum Leap they had the string theory that
Yes.
your timeline is like a ball of string,
Right.
and where all the different places where the strings touch, you can move from like move between events or move between moments or something. It was something like that, and that's actually when he used the spaghetti as like a metaphor for time. That's what it kind of reminded me of.
Yeah, it did help visualize it for people because people always get confused. I'm okay with movies setting their own standards for time travel. I just don't like when a movie sets it for themselves and then breaks it in the same movie. But that this movie did not do that. And because you see, even because Ezra changed when he went back at the end and he actually changed the positioning of the spaghetti or the tomato cans, that actually caused the George Clooney Batman to now be in his universe, right? And it's like a different universe with George Clooney now as opposed to Ben Affleck, which I thought was pretty funny. Um, I also love Batman and Robin, so I know everyone hates that movie, but I don't care. I've watched it 100 times. I know all the lines. It's an Adam West. It's weird because like if you can accept the super dark and boring The Batman movie, which is like pretty boring for me, but this movie's fun and like Batman Robin is fun and it's silly. Like within 5 seconds, you understand. Oh, this movie's gonna just be a silly Batman movie, just like Adam West. I'm like, okay, well, I'll enjoy it for silliness. I just need to know what kind of movie you're making. Like, let me know in the first 10 minutes of your movie, and then I can judge it accordingly. It's like Batman Forever to me was the worst one because it starts off like there's a lot of serious parts in it, but then there's a lot of goofy parts that are really goofy. And I thought, well, what the hell is this movie going for? Like, is this just like a goofy movie or is it supposed to be serious? Because some parts were serious with like Dick Grayson and his family dying and he's upset.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And then you go to Joker and Joker. Well, it may as well have been Joker. It was Two-Face and Riddler, and they're laughing it up and like, punching a guy. He's got it's just so goofy. I'm like, what the hell? And the bat nipples are in Batman Forever. I don't know why people keep saying the bat nipples are from Batman and Robin. They're in Batman Forever. He has them on his suit at the end, and I'm like, this is just so goofy. Like, what the hell happened in this movie? And then they just went pure cheese ball for the fourth one. I'm like, well, at least you're pure cheese, so I can at least enjoy it on cheese factor alone. But like, you got to figure out what movie you're making, man. Like, I don't know. Anyway, that's a separate thing. But
Well, I'm kind of the opposite. I really liked Batman Forever, and
I've watched it 100 times. just because I'm saying I thought it was the weakest one doesn't mean anything. I've watched it a million times. I've watched all these movies so many times.
So are you seeing Indiana Jones?
Yep,
You
it'll
are?
be shit.
Yeah, and yeah. I think that's going to be another train wreck.
Yeah.
Going to
Were
be
you on?
bad.
Were you listening on the Klobby retro blasting team up? Just like that was just the other day. I don't know if you were. I don't remember if I saw you on the chat.
I don't think I was. I think I was working. I was editing videos, I think.
I can't. They start so late for me. Right? Like it starts late for me, so I have to go. But I listened to most of it. But like literally, like I stayed up late. It was funny too because normally I leave at about 10:30, like my time. So that would be like Klobby starts at 10 p.m. and ends whenever he ends, and I usually stay for about half an hour. I ended up staying till like past 11 because this is the first time that like somebody actually said my points on Indiana Jones, which was I'm not even really that big of a fan of Last Crusade. And
Oh,
I
really?
love, oh yeah, I still like it. I bought it. I saw it in the theater. The first Indiana Jones movie I ever saw was actually one scene from a film projector at my friend's place of Raiders when they were in the Well of the Souls. It wasn't the whole movie. It was just that scene without sound because the projector
Down in the map room.
and the map, no, not the map room, the actual,
Oh, when
like
they get the
actually
arc.
actually getting the arc, and when the snakes are there, right? And they get the snakes,
Oh, okay.
right? So then he sees the cobra and all that. So that I only saw that one scene. I was like, well, this is the greatest thing ever. What is this, right? And I didn't know about movie serials at that point, but I've seen a shit ton of I own like probably 30, 40 movie serials by now. But at that point, I didn't know. And I was like, oh, this looks so cool. And then Temple of Doom had come out, and we rented it on VHS. It was the first movie that we had rented. So I saw Temple of Doom first, then Raiders. And I absolutely love it.
Technically, that did happen first.
That did happen first, yeah. So I love Temple of Doom. I thought it was like 10 out of 10. I still do. I think it's like a fucking masterpiece. And I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm like, well, this is a masterpiece. So I was like, wow, these are two masterpiece movies. And back then, I was talking like people would say, are you Indiana Jones or are you Star Wars? I was like, shit, I don't know. And they're like, what do you mean you don't know? I'm like, I don't know. I kind of like both. It's really tough. I was like, I think maybe Star Wars, but I don't know. I really like Indiana Jones. When part 3 came out, I was like, here we go. I want to be an archaeologist. In grade 7, we presented in class what we want to be. I want to be an archaeologist. I was watching all those. I watch all those National Geographic shows where they dig up stuff in Egypt and everything. And I saw Last Crusade, and his father's there. I'm like, well, I love Sean Connery, one of my heroes. And I'm like, why is Sean Connery like being so stupid in this movie? And why is he making fun of his son like the whole way? And I was like, this movie, and then I'm like, it's kind of similar to Raiders. Like, it's not like Temple and Raiders were so completely different locations. Like, it's a whole different thing. And this movie just looks like kind of a remake of Raiders, but with an annoying dad. And I was like, why is my dad on an adventure with, like, I was like, this is not great. And everyone I knew was like, man, that was awesome. It was way better than Temple of Doom. I'm like, I don't think so. There's a couple of my buddies who were like, yeah, Temple of Doom is clearly the best movie. Like, we were all like, yeah, that's obviously the best. It wasn't until I was like, I don't know, like 25 where someone's like, you know that no one likes Temple of Doom. I'm like, what? I'm like, that's the best Indiana Jones movie. They're like, no, it's not. Nobody thinks that. I'm like, really? I asked my buddy, who's my friend he's been my friend for 40 years now or something. I was like, did you know that people don't like Temple of Doom? He's like, no, it's the best one. I'm like, yeah. But anyway, so I didn't like Last Crusade that much. And I was like, oh, man. And then that Crystal Skull is like, yeah, this is just more of the same. I don't want Indiana Jones to be made fun of. And Michael on Retroblasting was like, Indiana Jones can't have baggage. He's a character. We follow him on different adventures that are completely unique every time. This idea that he has, now he's got a father. And then, what happened to his father? I guess he passed away. Then he got married to Marion, and he's got Mutt Lang. Well, where's Mutt in this movie? Where's Marion? You have to explain stuff. It's like, there shouldn't be this kind of continuity. It needs to be like every adventure is completely on its own. The adventure is the selling point, not Indiana Jones's like pathos or family drama. Like,
right. Well, when they were originally working on it, I think the intent was to make him kind of a Bond-like franchise.
I love that idea.
With
that's what I want.
Each movie being, this standalone thing. And that's like that's why, every movie has sort of like a pre-credit action sequence, or
I love it.
Sets before the actual main plot takes place. So he's going to distant locations and stuff like that. There's a different leading lady in every movie and that sort of thing.
Love it.
And
right.
Yeah. I mean, I do like Last Crusade. I do think they leaned a little bit too much into humor. There's a little too much goofy. It doesn't ruin it for me, but they do have a few bits here and there that are a little too goofy.
Right.
But overall, I do quite like it. But it's as far as between that or Temple of Doom, I think it's largely just a matter of taste. That one's Last Crusade's lighter, whereas Temple of Doom's more of a kind of darker, more kind of harsh.
Yeah. And you know me, I like my dark horror. I like my horror movies. And when he pulled the heart, I was like, this is awesome. This is so good. And when he cut the rope bridge, okay, dude, he's sitting there. He's like, oh, I'm cutting the bridge. I'm like, this is badass. So after Crystal Skull, so my problem then, when Last Crusade was the last one, I thought, okay, if they're not going to do James Bond, I thought, are they going to bring someone else to be Indiana Jones? Because I want to see more adventures of Indiana Jones set in the mid 40s or whatever, because that is the pulp era of adventure. I don't like this. Now it's the 50s and now it's the 60s, or is it the 60s? Where are they on now? Right now, 60s or 70s?
The next one takes place in 69.
Okay, so then it's the 60s. Now it's close to the 70s. I'm like, but nothing cool happened in the 70s in the pulp era. Like, it needs to be the pulp era. So that pisses me off. But then the other thing is that they brought back Mary, and I was like, well, wait a minute. If we're bringing back people, then where's Short Round? He's clearly the best character out of all he's clearly the best sidekick out of all these people. It's like they brought back Marcus in part 3 and Sala. It's like, well, where's Short Round? If you're bringing everyone back for one last hurrah, then where's Short Round? And
it's I remember when Crystal Skull came out, some people said, and I kind of thought this too, that instead of that Mutt character with Shia LaBeouf, for whatever his name, it should have been Short Round.
Right. How awesome. Can you imagine that would have got me more on board? Because I'm like, okay, look, if you're ditching this James Bond one, every movie's one off, like, that's why I don't like the Daniel Craig ones. It's like, then he like, even when, like, I love On Her Majesty's Secret Service, he gets married, but she dies. Like, it's concluded in that movie. Like, she's dead, and then it's just reset. Yeah. Now, I know he visits her grave in For Your Eyes Only or whatever. But, like, it's still concluded within the movie, because the next movie you'd have to explain, well, where's his wife now, right? So it's concluded because she just dies and that's it. So I'm like, okay, fine. But like, yeah, you brought back, you have Mutt Lang, you have Marion. I'm like, well, if you're bringing them all back, where the shit is our buddy Short Round? And then now he's not in it again. I know they filmed it. Now he's an Oscar winner, which is ironic since he's the only Oscar winner out of the entire.
Yeah, they're probably kicking themselves for not casting him at this point.
Right. And that pissed me off too. Like Harrison Ford, everyone they're running up and hugging him and all that. I'm like, yeah, okay, you're hugging him. Why didn't you put him in the movie if you're so excited about working with him again or have it? Oh, we love you. You're the best. It's like, well, why weren't you in the movies? You brought Marion out of the, you got her out of the mothballs and got her out. It's like, where's Short Round? It's like, oh, anyway. And Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I can already tell she's irritating as piss. It's like, if I couldn't take the great, listen, Sean Connery, Sir Sean Connery, he's the best. If I couldn't take Sean Connery making fun of Indiana Jones, how am I going to take this woman making, like, Sean Connery is like one of my favorite people. And it's like, I even like the Avengers remake, the British Avengers remake. I even like that. And I'm like, Sean Connery.
With
Sean Connery.
Thurman.
Yeah.
And Ralph Fiennes. Oh, yeah, Connery was the bad guy.
He was the bad guy.
Yeah, okay, I remember now. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that movie's pretty. I love. I have an Emma Peel and John Steed tattoo, so I like Emma Rigg, Diana Rigg, and Patrick McNee. So I've got a tattoo of the two of them. So I love the original Avengers, but I was even for that, I was like, oh, Sean Connery's awesome. He's this like kind of campy villain. This is great. And it's like, so I didn't like him making fun of Indiana Jones. So if I don't like that guy making fun of Indiana Jones, I sure as shit don't want Phoebe Waller-Bridge making fun of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, she's the latest. It seems like every so often the media just fixates on, every so often there's some TV show that's like really pushing like feminism and women being independent and sleeping around and that sort of stuff. Like for a long time it was Sex in the City. And whenever, and Sarah Jessica Parker, she was famous before, but she even blew up even more, and all the actors on that. And then about a decade ago, it was Girls or whatever it was.
Right. I didn't watch any of these shows, but yeah.
The media was really pushing Lena Dunham.
Okay.
As like, like the voice of a generation and all this crap. And this Phoebe Waller-Bridge is kind of the same thing. She did this show called Fleabag or whatever it is, which I've never seen, but apparently, it's like she sleeps around a lot and it's like a real feminist show. And so now they're pushing her, and it's
the problem is, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know who thought this was going to be a good idea to put her in an Indiana Jones movie, but they're going to find out that it wasn't such a good idea, is what I think.
Because there's a difference between like, you have a character, it's like they want to have a female character. Well, Marion was a female character and she was quite good and she had a lot of skills that Indy didn't. They foreshadowed her being able to drink anyone under the table. She's pretty tough, right? So when she's captured by Belloc, right? And is it Tote? I can never pronounce that guy's name. Tote.
Yeah,
Tote or whatever. Yeah, Tote.
That's how I always said it.
Yeah, so Tote or whatever. And it's like, and she's like, oh yeah. She's all playing it up. And then, meanwhile she's getting ready to escape and all. Like, what are you? I don't understand what their definition is. Like strong female or powerful female or feminism. In what way are you saying it? Like, it's like, I remember, this is a weird example, but I watched Enola Holmes, which was so awful, actually, like really awful. I watched it with what's her face, the girl from Seven. Is it Seven? I don't watch, or Six or whatever her name is from the Stranger Things.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Bobby Miller, Bobby Brown. Yeah, don't get three names. Like just be on two namer. Anyway, yeah, Millie Bobby Brown. And she was Enola Holmes. And then her mom is Helena Bonham Carter, another three namer. And they're like, she's like, oh, I want you to be, she's raising her as a boy. And she's like, I don't want you to be a girl. I want you to be smart and all this crap, right? I'm like, okay. I said, here's an idea, Helena. Why don't you raise her to do all the girly things so that she could fit in, but then secretly teach her all the boy things so she could do the boy things and the girl things? Because what you've done is you've taught her to only do the boy things, and now she's an outcast. So that's not very smart. Why wouldn't you teach her to be both things so she could operate even better? But see, it's just dumb writing. And it's like Sherlock Holmes doesn't have a sister, so this is just shit. And it's like, and
Uh-huh.
then my wife and I both watched it. We're like, wow, this is awful. Like, why are we watching this right now? We actually finished it. And then there's a part two, for Christ's sakes. It's like, anyways, so they have these big ideas, but they can't write them. If you're going to write it like She-Hulk, oh, we want strong women, but they're not strong. They're all idiots and losers. These are not strong women. It's like you've written shit characters and they're not strong. Even if the characters were men saying the same things, they'd be weak male characters. You didn't write a good character. Like, and everyone says Ellen Ripley and all these other, and you've got there's 100 examples of great female characters, but it has nothing to do with being a strong character or not. Nobody says we're going to write a strong male character. You're just like, well, this character is a guy and he's going to do certain things. That's it. Like, I don't understand why they have to. As soon as they start saying those catchphrase words, it's going to be bad because
Right.
they led with it. Like, why should I go watch Indiana Jones 5? Well, because it's a tribute to the old Indiana Jones movies. They're not going to say that because it's not true. They're just like, well, we feel that this is a new take and we're bringing it to a new audience and we've got a strong female character. It's like, what are you talking about? What new audience is there? My wife is from India. She's been in Canada for 23 years or something. She
Oh,
speaks
really?
English. Like, she speaks better English than I do. She proofreads my stories. So she has a few English degrees. So in India, they watched roughly the same kind of stuff. Like, she saw Raiders of the Lost Ark when it came out in India. They had it there, right? And so it's like she's seen the same kind of crap. And it's like, yeah, nobody cares. It's like they just want a good movie. They don't care about who's because like the
Right.
Bollywood industry is completely still in the back dark ages. It's like all the women are super pretty, all the guys are super ripped, and everyone looks good in Bollywood. It's like there's not one ugly like when you see the ugly friend in a Bollywood movie, you're like, she's like a 9 out of 10. So the main girl's a 10 out of 10, and the ugly sidekick girl is a 9 out of 10. You're like, what is this? Yeah, this is Bollywood. Everyone looks great. It's like there's no empowerment of anything. It's like you're the character, that's it. So when she came here and she's seeing some of these other movies, you're like, well, why do these people look so like homely? Like, they're trying to be characters and they're not stars. They're characters, which is good because we do want our characters, but you need to write them well. There's no point in
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Well, I mean, these Hollywood lefties. I mean,
yeah,
it's like entertainment in the Western world, not just in America, but like in Europe, Canada, I'm
mm-hmm,
sure is the same way. Australia, it's like it's been completely infested with these lefties,
right,
and they have this sort of, whatever it's called, intersectional feminist kind of viewpoint. And part of it is basically women shouldn't look too pretty because
right,
men like pretty women. Men like looking at pretty women.
right,
So
right,
we can't make the women pretty because we don't want the men to enjoy it. We don't want the men to
right.
like it. And I don't know. I mean, I don't want to get too off on that because you're getting into like sociological and stuff. But
Right, right. But I mean, Thor could be naked in Thor and Love and Thunder, and they can ogle him and eat popcorn. So, can you imagine if the other one, I don't know, whoever, Natalie Portman, let's say Natalie Portman was naked, and Thor and the Rock guy are like looking at her and like, ooh, and eating popcorn and what? Like, that movie would be obliterated off the face of the planet, right? Like,
right,
so it's not even a double standard. It's like it's like a double. It's like it's not even a double standard. It's like in what movie? I mean, what was the? It was Eternals. Oh my god! Oh, that was the worst movie ever. In Eternals, Icarus is like kneeling down to her, please, I'm sorry, like crying like a little bitch, and I'm
yeah,
like, in what movie do the women cry down to the men this way and the men treat them poorly? Like, I don't know what they're saying. So, no, it's payback. Payback for what? What movies were you watching? Did you watch any horror movies where the final girl is always the one who wins? That's the term is final girl. Like, it's like in horror movies, the women always win at the end. That's the point of it. The girl, the purity of the woman, is going to defeat the evil. And it's like that's been a standard for a long, long time. So, in what movies are you watching where the women are like begging the men not to or for forgiveness or something? It's like, and then Schwarzenegger says, "No, you bitch," and then smacks her face. Like, huh? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? Like, this didn't happen. Like, you're not role reversing it because this never happened in these other movies you're mentioning.
right. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. Yeah, it's yeah, it's like just open contempt, really. It's just open
Right.
contempt that the females have for the males, and which, from what I've heard, that's going to be in Indiana Jones. She's basically mocking him like throughout the film.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's
who
just
wants and what is that? That's not a celebration of any. You know what you do for that? You have her come in and he teaches her and get us to like the character. Have her, I'll say this, I'll say a big positive for that, the Hawkeye TV show with Haley Steinfeld or whatever. In that show, she looked up to Hawkeye. Like she saw Hawkeye, shooting during the battle in part one, in Avengers part one. She looks out the window, she sees Hawkeye, and she's like, oh my God, he's just a regular guy with a bow and he's fighting all these aliens. Then she becomes an archer. She starts to get good at it. She wins medals and she looks up to Hawkeye and wants to be like him and wants her to train him. And I thought, the show is okay. There's a lot of problems with it. The ending was kind of stupid, but at least she wants to learn from Hawkeye. So I
uh-huh.
thought, okay, I'm like, I'm willing to give you a pass on this show. Like, it's not that great, but I'll give you a pass for at least trying to make her a character that we can get behind because it's like, okay, she's learning from Hawkeye, who's the best, right? So that's fine. Like, She-Hulk came in and she's like, oh, I'm better than you, Bruce, and all that. I'm like, is this really happening right now? Like, she's not stronger than Hulk, so I don't know what you're talking about. Like, it's just but what are you writing? Like, we know she's not stronger. And it's so funny too, because like just generic people, like, I use my mom as an example because my mom knows me and she knows about this stuff through me. So she'd be like, is She-Hulk, she'd be like, is She-Hulk's not stronger than Hulk, is she? I'm like, no. So she's like, oh, I thought so. But it's like, just like, it's like, yeah, nobody believes this. Like, what are you talking about? What does it matter if she's stronger? What does that have to do with it? I'm pretty sure that who's a character that you don't care about. I'm pretty sure that like Jane Foster is or not is stronger than Ellen Ripley. But who do you like better? Like, who cares who's stronger? It's like, what does that have to do with anything?
Right.
It's, Jane Foster is stronger than Batgirl, right? But I like Batgirl better than Jane Foster. Like, I mean, well, what does that have to do with anything? Like, we need strong women like Captain Marvel. It's like, yeah, but you need to make her a character that people get behind. You can't make her annoying.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's another thing. I don't know why the people who are writing these characters, they seem to make it a point and almost seem to take pride in making the characters as like abrasive and
Yeah,
annoying as possible. Where it's like nobody likes this. It's they're basically writing this stuff for themselves and like a handful of friends who went to the same college and have the same
right.
viewpoint and all that crap.
Well,
And yeah, I mean it's going to cost them, which I
yeah.
love.
And I went because my first year of university I was still going to do archaeology and then I stopped and I said, you know what, I'm just going to go into like films. So I took all the film courses, writing and all that stuff, and we had these people in the film courses too, and they're always talk big like, oh, I remember Titanic came out and they're like, oh, Titanic's not a very good movie, it's trash, or they didn't say trash, but like, oh, it's not very good, it's stupid. I'm like, yeah, it made $1 billion. I'm like, yeah, that means it's really trash, doesn't it? It's like, it made $1 billion because it's a simple story that anybody on the planet can relate to, and the effects are amazing. It's like, that's it. Yes, it's not the greatest story. It's not 12 Angry Men or Inherit the Wind or Lawrence of Arabia or something like that. It's very simple. But guess what? My mom went to the theater. My mom hadn't gone to the theater in like 10 years or whatever, right? It's like everyone went to the theater to go watch it because it was a big event picture, and that's not a bad thing. It's like, it doesn't matter what I rate the movie, right? I was like, oh, I'll give it a 7 or 8 out of 10. It was okay. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, a lot of people went to go see it because they enjoyed it. It was the time to go see something epic in the movies, and it made $1 billion. There you go. There's no point making fun of it. If you make a movie that makes $1 billion, then go ahead and make fun of Titanic. But it was these people who are like, oh, they wanted all these like, certain movies that, well, it's got to be this independent movie and all this. I'm like, yeah, that's great too. And if they're good, they're good. Judge every movie on its own. You can't just lump everything in a category and say every Hollywood movie sucks. Now you probably can, but not when I was in university 20 years ago. Then you couldn't do that. But like, it's all these snobby people, and they're like, oh, we want this and that. And I was in a course too, and
Right.
it
Yeah.
was like a feminist thing. She's like, what's the feminist angle? So I actually did Sleepaway Camp Part 2 as my feminist movie. I don't know if have you seen Sleepaway Camp, or do you know anything about
I
it?
think I saw the first one. I don't think I've seen the second one.
Right. So, well, so do you remember the ending where the girl is not really a girl?
No, I don't. It's
Oh,
it's
so
been a
they
while. I probably haven't seen it since I think I watched it on cable in the 80s, and I haven't seen
oh,
it since.
so the killer is like this shy little girl, except at the end you find out it's been a boy the whole time. The mom, the aunt always wanted a boy or always wanted a girl, so she raised the boy as a girl.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's the big reveal at the end. But then in part two, she becomes a girl and she's a serial killer. So like this will be great. My feminist teacher will love this essay. It's a male serial killer who actually becomes a woman, but is a woman serial killer. Beaten by a woman at the end, but the woman serial killer wins at the end in part two. So you're like, what the hell? And it's Bruce Springsteen's sister who plays the killer
Oh, really?
in part two. Yeah, and two and three. She came back for part three.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Oh, it's really weird. Anyways, but that just really that just messed with her because it's like, well, I can't. What do I do here? Like, it's like I can't get this guy. I can't get this guy a bad grade because it'll look like I'm prejudiced against them.
You gamed the system. Very
I
smart.
did. I was so happy. People were like, "Oh, dude, that was a brilliant idea." And I was like, "Yeah." I really like. I got her good because she's like she had to give me good marks. Otherwise, I'd say, "Hey, are you a phobic? Are you a phobe? What's happening here?" But anyway,
Oh, by the way, as long as I got you, so you
mhm.
got that Shadow Dark RPG,
I
right?
did. I haven't gone through all of it.
I was gonna say, something I've been thinking about is at some point maybe we could do a live stream and kind of talk about like
Yeah,
the changes, the different rules. I haven't read mine either yet, but it was an idea I had in the back of my head.
I started to look at what's the critical role Candela Obscura. Is
Yeah,
that the
Candela Obscura.
I grabbed the free sample. Excuse me. I grabbed the free sample of that, so I was looking at that. So we're still playing Spelljammer right now. My wife is loving Spelljammer, so I was like, I think we're gonna
Oh yeah.
stick with that for a bit. So I grabbed Shadow Dark just because I thought, let me grab it while the Kickstarter's up. So I've gotten. They just sent me an update the other day with stuff. So I haven't read it at all. And then I started reading. Remember Star Frontiers? Remember that one? TSR, the old.
That's one of my favorite games.
Oh wow! So okay. So just today, I started going through. I love Drive Through RPG. They've got like all those great.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I went to Drive Through. I thought, oh yeah, Star Frontiers. I always wanted to fucking try that. I haven't tried. So I started watching some videos just today about Star Frontiers. I thought, oh, I think I might grab that one next. So I'm trying to run a few by my wife because I'm not going to read anything for Shadow Dark unless she wants to play because she's loving Spelljammer so much right now. Like my friends will play anything. I'll just be like, we're playing Dark Sun today. Okay. Like they don't care. They'll play whatever. Dark Sun's my favorite, but my wife really, she just took the Spelljammer. So I thought, you know what?
Well,
Like
that's
she made
cool.
her own character sheet. We did a whole Photoshop thing. She printed out like a little backdrop, and she loves Spelljammer. I'm like, all right, well, I guess we'll stick. But then I was like, oh, Star Frontiers. Well, how is Star Frontiers? You said it's your favorite?
Yeah, I really liked it back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Now I didn't get to play it much
Okay.
because I really, I wound up getting most of the games that TSR produced like in the first half of the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Masters Maniac Mexico, thanks for stopping by, man.
Hey, man.
Is that some kind of sadistic cult question? As if Flash wasn't enough. Yeah, it's gonna be a self-flagellation for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I like Indy 5, so I'll be with everybody. Listen, I'm a unique individual. I loved Wonder Woman 1984. I love the first Wonder Woman. Everyone hates 84. I'm like, that's fine. I don't care. It's like I hated Eternals. I hated Thor Love and Thunder, but I loved Doctor Strange too. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies. I loved it. I hated She-Hulk. You know what I mean? Like I loved WandaVision. I watched WandaVision twice. But I hated She-Hulk. I hated pretty much all the other ones. Like Ms. Marvel was kind of boring. I didn't like any of the other ones, but I really liked WandaVision. I don't know. It's weird.
But getting back to Star Frontiers,
Yes,
so I had Star Frontiers, I had Gamma World, I had Top Secrets, I had the Marvel superheroes, of
I
course,
still have the Marvel.
um,
Yeah.
and I really would like to have played all those games more than I did. But my friends and I, we played mostly D&D, and we did play some Marvel, but I had a real hard time getting them to play anything more. We did
Mm,
play Star Frontiers a couple of times. I always wanted to play more of it. Now, as far as the system, I mean, it's been so long. Um, I mean, honestly, as I recall, it was kind of clunky.
yeah.
Now, the Spelljammer you're playing, is that like a fifth edition?
Okay, I'm like easy DM or whatever it is. It's like I bought all of the old Spelljammer stuff, like the TSR ones, but it's still THACO at that point. So it's like, oh, I'm like, okay, so I'm just gonna convert everything to what I want. And then I bought the new Spelljammer, which everyone hated. But I don't need anything. I actually don't need anything. All I just want is the setting, just to get ideas, because I
Uh-huh.
usually redo everything myself. So
Okay.
I took a mixture of the old Spelljammer that I liked, and I took the new Spelljammer classes that they gave, because they gave Plasmoid, and my wife's like, I want to be a Plasmoid. I was like, oh yeah, okay, let's do that. So I took fifth edition character classes. I took fifth edition ship names, but used the original edition stats, converted THACO to just an armor class that I thought seemed okay. Like, I make up half the stuff myself. Like, you
Okay.
wouldn't,
Because
yeah.
I'm sorry, I was going to say, so I mean, if you like doing that, what I might suggest, if you're familiar, if you've done a lot of D20,
Mhm.
so back when they did third edition,
Yep,
they
I had
did
that.
D20 Modern. Have you got
Mhm.
any of that?
No, I have I
So
have I have 3.5 D&D, but not that D20 modern. That's a different thing, right?
I mean, it's basically the same stuff. There's
Okay,
a few
okay.
minor differences, but what I was going to say is they did an expansion for that called D20 Future.
Ah,
And
I'm gonna
in
pull it
that
up.
they gave D20 stats for the Star Frontiers aliens
Oh, I
in
got
that.
you. Yeah, I'm looking it up.
And they did for some ships and stuff too. So I mean, because I've never done it, but I always thought if I played Star Frontiers again, I would take that D20 future stuff for the game stats and the mechanics, and then,
Right,
as you say, I would take the original stuff for the setting and kind of put them together because I really liked the setting myself. In
right.
fact, I I don't know if I should say it. But anyway, I've been toying with the idea of doing some kind of an audio drama for my channel.
Yep,
And Star Frontiers is kind of like doing something that would basically be based off of the old Star Frontiers campaign that I did.
that's awesome. Yeah, you should do. I actually did 5 audio adventures. They're on my channel. They're kind of buried. I think I made a playlist. I did.
Oh yeah.
It's me, Sean, and Steven did an audio adventure. It's called Strong Arm, and I did it like a radio show, like The Shadow or Blue Beetle or whatever, like those old
Uh-huh.
radio shows. So I did it that way. I only did 5 episodes. Those were a lot of fun. But yeah, you should do something like that. That'd be awesome. I mean, everyone plays D&D different. Like, you watch the Matt Mercer Critical Role, and to me, that's just him telling a story. I don't play that way. Everything I do, I don't play with much game rules. I make up whatever difficulty I decide at the time. I half the time I'll make it up as we go. I'll just have
Uh-huh.
like a very broad idea. I'm like, okay, they're going to go on this planet, fight this alien. Okay, let's go. And they get there. And then I had one session that was 2 hours, and it was just one battle. It was just like, I gave the guy 1,000 hit points. And I was like, let's see if they could beat this thing. And it was 1,000 hit points. And I made it Dracula. I made it Alucard because I wanted them to fight Alucard, just because I thought that'd be cool. So he was a vampire, and it was, and they had a lot of fun. And that's it. And then I don't really get into, like, they roll the dice a lot, but it's not like for everything. So if they say I want to jump over, I'm like, okay, you jumped it. And then it's like, oh, I want to do this. I'm like, yeah, you did it. And then only if I feel that it's like they're like, oh, I want to, him to jump on my shoulders, and then I'll swing off of that. I'm like, okay, now let's do a dexterity roll for that one, and we're gonna say it's difficulty, 13. Like, that's it. Like, I'll just make it up right there, you know.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't do it, you fall, take a point of damage. That's it. So, and like, I don't like, because I watch these other people playing. Like, why is this story taking forever? My D&D stories are 1 page or 2 pages. That's it. and I just make it up as we go and because I don't know what they're going to do. If they don't want to fight something, they might try to run, and I'll have something else attack or whatever. I don't know. I think it gets too organized, and then I get like turned off. Like I try to watch Critical Role, I'm like, this is boring. Like there's just them telling me a story. I'm like, where's the action? Like if this is a game, right? Like I feel like they're not checking their stats.
Yeah, I mean, there are different modes of play. I do think as I get older, I'm more kind of like you're thinking of just kind of being looser with things
Yeah.
and less regimented, and not so beholden to the rules. Hello, Ash and Jackal. Thanks for stopping by, man. And thank you for, I'm glad you like my avatar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can hold on a second. I wonder if I can share. Can I share my, let me see. Can I share an actual, you want to see here? Look, here's the character sheet I made. If you want to look at it, you can look at it. Can you if look below? It looks like there's another person trying to join. That's my character screen.
Okay.
My character sheets that I made for them. It's like you can just add it to the stream the way you add. Yeah, there you go.
Like
see?
That? Okay.
There's the character sheet. That's it. I write it all in the. And then this is their ship. I actually made their ship. You see my mouse?
And this is for the Spelljammer thing, right?
For Spelljammer. So that's the ship. And I had it transform into a Voltron kind of thing. So they were controlling, each character was controlling, one character was controlling the arms, one character was controlling the legs, and one character was controlling the mind. So it's, and this is how I did the hit points. There was the head, the left arm, the right arm, the left leg, the right leg. So it's like I actually had their ship transform into this thing for a kaiju battle. So yeah, but see, the character sheets are super basic. Like it's just like you have an axe, you have a musket. This guy's a musket because it's Spelljammer. Here's your abilities. That's it.
Looks like Ash and Jackal kind of takes that approach too.
So yeah, like it's super. I stream like so. It's like I streamline the crap out of it. I don't. Ashton, what is Ashton saying? Ashton saying I don't write anything down. Do exactly. I just go with it. But yeah, so Star Frontiers. If you ever want to run a campaign, we can always. I'm always open. I could probably get someone else to come play. Like I just play through Stream. I actually play through StreamYard. I just don't hit go live. So what I do is I set it up through StreamYard and I get everybody on and we play this way and I share the screen just the way we did. And then I just don't hit the go live button. And then when we're done, I just sign out. So it's like I use StreamYard to do it.
Yeah, that works. That works fine.
Yeah.
It's I'm trying to think of what all. I mean, they didn't do a whole lot of material. I mean, but
No.
if you've been to Drive Through RPG, I guess you can find most of the material for it. That's because I was going to say, if you want, I can email you some material if you'd like me to send you some PDFs of some of the.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I mean, you can if you want to. I've got I've got ways to get it, or if it's cheap enough. Like for Dark Sun, I just bought everything because it was like it's like $5. I'm like, I'll just pay it. Like, I don't care. And I bought all the red box, so it was like the basic, advanced. Remember, it was like every box was a different color, so it was like the red, then the blue, then the dark, then it was navy, then it was black. Whatever. I bought all of those. I didn't even need them all. I actually just need for Star Frontiers. I was just going to buy just the core rules. That's all I need. I don't need any campaigns. I usually make up my own crap.
Okay.
I think I own like 3 D&D books. I own the core rules for 3.5. I own Spelljammer, and I bought Dragonlance, and that's it. That's the only. I didn't even buy the Monsters Manual. I didn't buy the DM guide. I just bought the core rules. I skimmed through them. Like, yeah, I get it. How to play, roll a D20, add something. That's it. Half the time I make up, like someone's like, oh, can I get a better axe? I'm like, okay. And I'll have them do something. And it's like, oh, you found a better axe there. There you go. It's like,
so are your characters like, are they going to have like the 6 main attributes? Are they going to do that?
Yeah, okay, they have all that.
So for the original rules, they have a completely different system as far as the character attributes and stuff.
Yeah, like I saw it. There's 8.
Yeah. Why don't I'll send you the D20 thing.
Sure.
Because again, it's like got the stuff adapted for D20 and for like kind of those attributes. So it might be helpful to you.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. Okay, I see Star Frontiers camping setting was later updated for D20 modern role-playing system. I see. Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I'll love to see that one. That's awesome.
And I mean, there's not a whole lot. Because in that D20, what they do is they basically give kind of a succession of sample campaigns,
Right. Oh,
and
perfect.
some of them where they basically just kind of give you like a few paragraphs describing the setting, and then usually like a character class or prestige class, and
Right.
then maybe like a gadget or a ship or something like that. Now, some of them are completely original, but some of them are based off of other games. Like there's the Star Frontiers one. They don't call it Star Frontiers though; they call it Star Law, is what they call it.
Okay.
And then there's what is it? Um, I mean, there's a couple others that are based off of pre-existing games, but they give you the stats. You know, they kind of give you game stats for the four main aliens,
Mhm.
and then I think they give stats for like a class and then like a ship.
Right. Okay. Yeah,
And
that's cool.
actually, I think there's actually an addendum. There's like a they couldn't fit everything they wanted into the book, and one of the aliens from Star Frontiers called the Sathar. They or like the bad guys. They weren't included, but they did release them in like a separate little document. And I've got that, so I can send you that too.
For sure. Send them all. Why not? Like I've got so many. I should set you up on my my G Drive and share my link with you because I have everything ever. Like I just download anything that comes out. I will
Uh,
get. I actually own the Buck Rogers game. I actually bought the Buck Rogers box, the TSR box. I never played it because I love Buck Rogers. I just never played it, but I have the whole thing. I was like, oh man. So I've got a few older ones. My mom used to get the catalogs because she would go to different trade shows, and she'd get the TSR catalogs, dude. It's the greatest. Like you open those up and it just unlocked your imagination. You're like, oh my god, look at all this cool stuff.
yeah,
You're like, oh man, and like I was like, fucking Buck Rogers. Oh my god, I can't believe it. Like, and the art's so badass. It's like all of the art was so killer, and you're just like, this is so good. That was the best time ever, man. And like all the books, I go to this sci-fi cafe, and they had every book. I bought all the Dark Sun books, like the Prison Pentad. I got, and then they did the Nomad series after that, and I was like, I got all of those original books, man. Those are so awesome.
yeah. I've
And
got just about everything D&D related that's ever been
oh, that's
published
great.
digitally, and it looks like Ash and Jackal has
What
a
was he
bunch of
saying?
stuff too. He says I got a big library of 3.5 books.
Mm-hmm.
So my characters can create and grow their characters whatever direction they want to go. Lots of feats, classes, subclasses all over the place.
Nice. I've never played. I've never played D&D in my life. I'm always the DM. Like
Oh, really?
I've never played. I've never rolled a dice for.
Wow.
I bought. I have a few other games that were the Ubiquity system. So I bought two from that official PDFs, which was All for One, which is actually a Three Musketeers game,
Yeah.
and I love it. So I was running that, and then I also bought Hollow Earth Expedition, which is a pulp style adventure
Right.
game, and it's all dice pools. They're actually so easy to run. It's absolutely crazy how easy it is. I mean, I could teach you the rules in like 1 minute, and I was like, this is so good. I thought so. I asked my buddy. I was like, oh, Steven, yeah, you know Steven. I was like, Steve, why don't you want to run Musketeers? It's like I bought the original PDF, so I'll give you a copy. Why don't you run Musketeers and then I get a chance to play? And he's like, yeah, okay. Because I was like, it's so easy, man. Like, it's because it's Musketeers, but it's Gothic. So the Cardinal, like Richelieu, is actually a demon. He's like Satan, basically.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
yeah, so it's Musketeers, but it's like there's werewolves and stuff. So it's Gothic Musketeers. By the way, I love Musketeers. I'm like a super Musketeers fan. And I'm like, oh man, I was like, you got to run this. So he's been running Musketeers. And when I'm a player, I'm like the best player because I'm like I came in, I had a Musketeers sash on. I had the guy make like the fleur de lis and everything. So I came in, I was like, I was gonna bring muskets and stuff. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a Musketeer. And I got really heavy into the role playing, and it was funny too because everyone was getting like
That's
a bit
cool.
more excited. So that's the first time I've ever played. But I never played D&D. No one's ever run D&D where I got a chance to play. And I'm like the easiest player. I'll take anything. What do you need for your campaign? I want someone to be a dwarf. There, I'm a dwarf. I don't care. I'll take any character class. I don't care. I'll be anything. It's like, but just and I haven't had an opportunity.
That's
So
wild. You
that's
never
crazy.
you
Yeah.
never actually been a player. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just realized I got to get going. It's 9:40 here, so I got to get going in a minute.
Okay, yeah, I probably should hang up too. I've got some work I need to get done. I got some assignments due at midnight, so I got to get back to
Oh,
those and finish them. But thanks for stopping by, man.
thanks. This is just basically like you and me talking with people. This is just like I don't know what this has to do with the Flash anymore. We just
Yeah,
pretty much got you. It just is you and me talking with random people, just listening to us talk about our daily, our stuff that we like in our daily lives.
yeah, we kind of got off topic, but I think we covered Flash pretty well, though.
Yeah, there's not much else to say. I mean, you got your review and thoughts, and I've got mine, and we'll see how it goes. It's always good to watch it a second time too, just to kind of. It's something I will watch a second time because I'll definitely buy it, and I'll see. I can digest it better because I went in wanting to. Oh, I went in thinking I would hate it and not caring if I did hate it, and I walked out really liking it. And actually, everybody I went with really liked it. There's 5 of us and we all liked it. So then you know how it is. You're walking back to your cars and you're talking up the movie, and you're like, yeah. So it's like maybe we all came out a little bit too positive. Like maybe we needed to dial that back a bit. But it's not like we walked out of Thor. We're just holding our heads down. We're like, God, what happened? We walked out of what was the other one? Like that Ant-Man Quantum Realm. It's like, oh my God, what happened
Quantumania.
with this
Yeah.
Quantumania? That Black Panther 2 is abysmal. That was just so bad. Eternals was so. Steven did not go to Eternals. What a bastard! I was like, you should have gone to suffer with us. It's like I don't know how you got out of this. Uh, I want to force him to watch it, but then I'd have to watch it again. So I was like, oh, it was so bad. So this movie, we walked out, we're like, wow, we're actually happy and feeling good about things. Like, what the hell happened? Like, so this is like, maybe if this movie had come out 20 years ago, we'd be like, yeah, it's a 6. It was okay, right? You know what I mean? But like, it just came out in the perfect time with me where I've hated everything I've seen, and I'm like, this is the first one I actually kind of liked. So maybe that played a part. But anyway, so.
All right, man. Well, again, thank you
Hey,
for stopping by. And
um,
I guess also thanks to those who showed up in the chat and those who watch this later. And I will just go ahead and wrap this up, I guess, because, yeah, like
awesome.
I probably ought to get going.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
All right, no problem.
All right. Take it easy.
All right, bye.
Bye.
And everyone else, thank you again for stopping by. And I'll go ahead and hang this up. And good night to you, Ash and Jackal. Again, thanks for stopping by. And hope you all have a good Father's Day if you haven't already. Good night.